Just a reminder that all proceeds from our YouTube channel are donated to charity. Please help us help others by giving us a thumbs up or subscribing to our channel. Your support makes a difference. When you think of a river cruise, you probably picture breathtaking scenery, historic cities, and smooth sailing along Europe's most famous rivers, and all of that is true. But there are also things that no one really tells you until you've actually been on board. In this video, we're sharing what we wish we knew before our first European river cruises, drawing on our experiences sailing with Viking, AmaWaterways, Uniworld, and more, so you'll have a better idea what to expect. Let's start with something that surprises a lot of first-time river cruisers. You don't have to worry about seasickness. On ocean cruises, the size of the waves and the motion of the ship can make some people feel queasy. River cruises are completely different. The rivers in Europe are calm, and these ships are built low and wide for stability. You're never dealing with open seas, swells, or rocking. Most passengers don't feel any motion at all, even people who get seasick on the ocean. The only movement you might notice is when the ship enters or exits a lock, and that's more of a gentle rise or fall, almost like being in an elevator. So for anyone nervous about seasickness, this is one of the biggest advantages of a river cruise. Next, meals on a river cruise aren't available all day. Breakfast and lunch are served in a rolling window, but dinner is at a set time for the entire ship. Everyone sits down together, kind of like traditional dining on an ocean cruise, and table sizes can vary. On Viking, for example, tables are usually set for 6, 8, or 10 passengers, so you'll likely be dining with others. Most ships have just one main dining room with maybe a second option like an outdoor terrace. Specialty restaurants are rare, with Scenic and AmaWaterways being among the few exceptions. Room service isn't standard either, and when it is offered, it's usually only for suites and sometimes just for breakfast. This style of dining may appeal to you or not, but we share it because it surprises a lot of first-time river cruisers. Another thing that surprises many first-time river cruisers is how drinks are handled. On Viking, for example, beer and wine are included with lunch and dinner, but cocktails or spirits outside those times are extra, or you can purchase the Silver Spirits package. Other lines may offer drinks all day or a sip and sail happy hour, like on AmaWaterways. This actually surprised us on our very first river cruise on Uniworld years ago. Drinks weren't included outside meals, and we had to charge drinks to our room. Interestingly, Uniworld has since changed their policy, and now cocktails as well as beer and wine are available throughout the day. So if enjoying your favorite cocktail at any time is important to you, this difference in policy on some lines may be a surprise. Another surprise? Most river cruise lines also let you bring your own wine, beer, or spirits on board, something that's rarely allowed on ocean cruises. Now let's talk about cabin size, because this can really surprise first-time river cruisers. Cabins on river ships are generally much smaller than what you might be used to on ocean cruises. Most are in the range of about 135 to 205 square feet. Suites do give you more room, but even those are compact compared to ocean cruise suites. On our very first river cruise, we learned this the hard way. We turned around near the bed and actually knocked into a small table with glasses on it. That was our wake-up call to just how tight the layout can feel. But once you adjust, you realize you're hardly in your cabin except to sleep and get ready. The real experience is outside, exploring ports, enjoying meals, or spending time in the lounge and on deck. So don't let the compact cabin scare you. Just know what to expect, and you'll find the space works just fine. Once you've settled into your cabin, the next thing to adjust to is the daily rhythm of a river cruise. We've already talked about meals, but what does the rest of the day look like? Most included excursions take place in the morning, typically beginning around 8:30 or 9 o'clock. After time ashore, you'll usually return to the ship for lunch, with occasional afternoon or evening tours added to the schedule. For first-time cruisers, and especially if you're feeling jet-lagged, those early starts can be more of an adjustment than expected. Mornings tend to be structured and active, while afternoons may involve free time, additional excursions, or simply relaxing as the ship repositions to its next port. While advertisements for river cruises are tempting and the scenery can be stunning, especially in iconic stretches like the Wachau Valley or the Rhine Gorge, don't expect to spend every afternoon watching the river drift by, as most ships do the bulk of their sailing at night. If enjoying scenic views from your balcony is important, look for itineraries during midsummer in Northern Europe, when the long days give you more opportunity for evening sightseeing. You've probably seen photos of people relaxing with a drink on the sun deck, taking in the scenery, and you will have plenty of opportunities to enjoy it, but sometimes the sun deck is completely closed. On certain rivers, especially when water levels are high, ships have to pass under very low bridges. To make it through, everything on the deck, awnings, chairs, even railings, must be lowered, and passengers can't be up there. This is especially common on the Main-Danube Canal and parts of the Rhine. So while you might picture yourself enjoying the sun deck every day, the reality is there may be days, and we had 4 in a row at one point, when it's off limits. And it's not just bridges that affect your cruise. On our sailing, we went through 68 locks, some during the day and some at night. At first, it's pretty exciting to watch the ship rise or sink as the water level changes, but after a while, it just becomes part of the rhythm of the trip. You'll definitely notice the noise and movement as the ship settles into place, and if your cabin is low, it can get pretty dark inside while you're down in the lock. And speaking of things you do notice, one reality of river cruising is just how busy these rivers can get, with so many ships traveling the same popular routes, especially with Viking's large fleet. You're not always alone at the dock. Imagine when you wake up, pull back your drapes to sip coffee on your balcony, and you discover another ship tied right alongside yours, and maybe another passenger in their bathrobe staring right back at you. This is called rafting, and it happens when there are more ships than docking space. To get to shore, you may actually have to walk through 1 or 2 other ships, and more often than not, they're other Viking ships because there are just so many of them on the rivers. A quick tip: when you're returning to your ship, don't just assume the first one you step on is yours, because sometimes ships shuffle their rafted position during the day. The lobbies can look almost identical. Check the artwork at the top of the stairs. Each ship has a different painting, and remember that the name of the ship is also written on the sliding glass entry doors. It's a small detail that can save you from an awkward walk onto the wrong ship. While many of your port stops will be stunning, don't assume every docking spot will make for a picture-perfect entry. On our cruise, locations like Würzburg and Budapest had beautiful, walkable riverfronts that felt like the heart of the city itself. In our experience, these were some of the highlights, but not all piers are postcard-worthy. The Rhine in particular is known for its industrial sections, cargo ports, cranes, and factories, especially as you get closer to Rotterdam or Mannheim. In contrast, travelers often describe the Danube as greener and more pastoral, so piers there usually feel more scenic and inviting. So while those idyllic European river cruise photos are real at times, you may also pull into a more utilitarian dock like we had in Strasbourg. One thing to keep in mind about river cruising is that docking times and even locations aren't guaranteed. This is especially important if you're planning anything on your own, like meeting friends, joining an independent tour, or exploring without a ship's excursion. Ships can sometimes depart midday or even reposition while you're ashore, which means you may need to return to a different pier, or in some cases, catch up with the ship in another city. On our Viking cruise, the final documents didn't list docking times at all, while AmaWaterways did include them, though they still shifted. This uncertainty makes it tricky to plan independent activities with confidence. You can absolutely arrange tours through companies like Viator or with local guides, but make sure they understand the flexibility required for river cruises and are willing to adjust if schedules shift at the last minute. Some of our group managed this successfully in Nuremberg, though they admitted they were nervous. It worked out, but it's never guaranteed. One thing first-time river cruisers often don't realize is that included excursions can vary widely depending on the cruise line. On Viking, most included tours are relatively short walking tours with a local guide, while AmaWaterways sometimes adds a few more active options like hiking or cycling. Other lines, like Uniworld, may include full-day excursions that may cost extra on other lines. For example, Salzburg was included on our Uniworld Danube cruise but cost almost $300 per passenger on our Viking Danube cruise. Not every tour is elaborate or long, so don't assume that every included excursion will be extensive or high-end. If this matters to you, it's worth doing a little homework before you book. Use a good travel advisor, check online communities, and look carefully at what's actually included in the tour descriptions. That way you'll know whether the cruise aligns with your expectations and can plan independent excursions if needed. One thing that's standard for river cruising, and something first-time cruisers should be aware of, is that most river ships don't have a doctor on board. If you or a family member has a medical concern, help is generally available on shore, but it could take a few hours to reach a doctor or pharmacy. This is a risk you take when choosing a river cruise. Make sure to bring any necessary prescriptions, a basic first aid kit, and travel insurance that covers medical care. Being prepared can give you peace of mind while still enjoying your trip. Don't expect big production shows, casinos, or nightclubs on a river cruise. Evenings are intentionally quiet, with activities that match the intimate pace of the day. You might find trivia, a lecture by a local expert, live piano music in the lounge, or a tasting of regional wines and schnapps. After dinner, most passengers wind down with conversation, a nightcap, or simply head to bed early so they're ready for the next day's excursion. If you're looking for Broadway-style entertainment or late-night action, you won't find it here. But if you enjoy a more relaxed atmosphere with cultural touches and time to connect with fellow travelers, river cruise evenings can feel just right. One thing first-time river cruisers should know is that itineraries aren't always set in stone. Occasionally, high or low water levels, locks, or other local conditions can affect where and when the ship docks. While this doesn't happen often, it's not unheard of, and it's completely out of your control. In some cases, the ship may swap to a different vessel. You might have an unexpected hotel overnight, or part of the journey may be replaced with bus transfers to another location. The key is to stay flexible, pay attention to daily briefings and announcements from the crew, and you'll still be able to enjoy your experience. River cruising can feel expensive compared with ocean cruising. Smaller ships, included excursions, docking right in the heart of historic cities, often included beverages and even fees to traverse the many locks along the rivers, all contribute to higher per-day costs. You can save a bit by watching for sales, referral bonuses, or onboard credits, but don't let those deals sway your decision. Value and experience matter more than a temporary discount. Ultimately, river cruising offers convenience, great service, comfort, and unique access to Europe's towns and landmarks, but it comes with a price that's worth understanding before you book. We think it's important to be aware that Viking often requires full payment significantly earlier than other lines, sometimes as far out as 12 to 18 months before departure. In contrast, most river cruise companies typically follow a more standard payment window of 3 to 4 months prior to sailing. We dive deeper into this difference in our AmaWaterways versus Viking comparison video, along with additional videos across our channel. We're sure there are even more things we could talk about. We could go on forever about river cruising, but these are the ones that stood out to us. If you've cruised before, your tips could really help first-time river cruisers, or even those returning after a long break. Please share your advice in the comments below. And if you're just getting ready for a river cruise, we've linked our river cruise packing list and a few of our favorite travel items in the description. They might make your planning a little easier. Remember, all proceeds from our channel are donated to charity, so your support, whether by liking, subscribing, commenting, or using our links, truly makes a difference. Thanks for joining us. Always remember to make meaningful and healthy travel happen, and we'll see you next time.